random teams and drafted teams, mixers, and more. We built this app with the collector in mind, with features like scheduled drop times, custom notification settings, and earn rewards on purchases, among other things. And we want to be a one-stop shop for collectors, which is why we've added services like PSA grading and eBay consignment straight from breaks. We are a PSA authorized dealer and offer grading services from value to walkthrough. All you need to do is fill out the form on our website within 24 hours of a break completing, and we will take care of the rest. All submissions for breaks come with a review and wipe down of your card, and you won't be charged anything until we get your card back from PSA. eBay consignment is a similar process where you will need to fill out a form on our site within 24 hours of a break completing for any cards you'd like to submit. All cards will be listed next business day for a 5-day auction starting at 99 cents. And after the sale, you'll have the option to be paid out via check, PayPal goods, or break credit. The links for these services will be in the description of every break. If you have any questions about how the app or how our breaks work, feel free to message us on your preferred social platform. Or jump in the chat of one of our breaks and the break host can help walk you through it.
What's happening, everyone? Happy Friday morning.
Ready to rock and roll.
Happy draft night.
One more week under the books.
That's another one. We'll be back next week. We're talking about, we have a little trip coming up this weekend.
Yes.
That's not going to interfere with any all-card ship.
No, I mean, it's a short trip, so
yeah.
we're good there.
Yeah, like we said, everyone's going to have to make sure that you tune in to next week, especially because we should have, hopefully, a lot of updates, a lot of cool things coming. Who knows what we've got coming up. We're headed to, Ryan and I are headed to Atlanta on Sunday. Is Tom going too?
Tom will be there. Yep.
Sweet. Perfect. So, yeah, we're heading to Atlanta on Sunday for the Tops Conference.
Yep.
And, yeah, we'll see. I don't know. What are you expecting to hear?
I don't know. We should say hi to people first.
All right,
Why are you so down to business?
I just want to
talk.
I'm
This
excited.
is a hangout. Like, we're supposed to be having fun here. You're just like, all business.
I'm ready.
Like, I'm not ready for that yet. My brain's got to get a little warmed up.
No,
you gotta say hi to our friends. Like,
you're already yapping about the draft already.
I came in. I walked in this morning hot. I'm like,
We can get into the draft here too. What up, Al? What up, Tori? Zach in the house. Quick Draw says you know I'm here. Oh boy, why are you here? Why are you here?
That sounds ominous.
He's gonna say something about the Browns or something about. Oh no, you know why Quick Draw's here. TNT's in the house too.
What language are we being greeted in by TNT? Is that Japanese?
I don't know. I'm gonna look that up. I have no idea.
Ohio gozaimasu.
That says good morning in Japanese. There you go. You can't say that around Ryan. He's still salty that he wasn't able to go to the Japan series.
Super salty. I was so unhappy that I don't have any friends and I couldn't find anybody to go to Japan with me for the Tokyo series.
You've spent plenty of time in Japan. You've been to Japan.
I've been to Japan many, many times. I used to have an office in Tokyo and in a prior life. So
how did you not know that meant good morning right away?
I knew that meant good morning.
No, you did. You didn't say it. You're playing it off. You're like, oh, that might be Japanese.
All right. All right. So I've been to see the Yomiuri Giants play at Tokyo Dome. Like, it's fun. It's a fun experience. Been there for the cherry blossoms.
Yeah, it's cool. I need to get out there sometime. We'll see when that happens, though.
Yeah.
Everything. I mean, Nate, one of our main content guys, just went out there a couple weeks ago. He said it was absolutely wild. I've heard of other people. I know a couple other guys that went out there. They had a big Star Wars celebrate. There's actually a top Star Wars set. It was like I think they call it Maiko anniversary something that came out, and there's supposed to be an English version coming out as well.
Oh really?
But the Japanese version had these special manga inserts that were only in the Japanese version. I saw those doing really well.
Yeah.
But people flew out there and ended up buying a bunch of these boxes. But
yeah. So, I mean, I liked it there. I would have loved to go to the Tokyo series and see some baseball in that craziness. But
It's always
we'll
next
see
year.
where MLB ends up next year.
Yeah, are they doing a different spot every year?
Well, they've done different things. You know, they've done London.
Last year they did London, or 2
They've
years ago they
done
did London.
Yeah,
or
they've
something.
done London. They've done Seoul, South Korea.
Yeah.
That was last year.
Yep.
Tokyo this year.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, who knows what they're gonna do?
Yep. They
you
can
know,
do Dubai now. They got a stadium.
There's a baseball stadium there. Yeah, I mean, they could do. You know, it'd be interesting to see if they ever did anything in like Latin America.
Right.
I mean,
that would make
obviously
sense.
huge. You know, it'd be kind of epic to have some games there.
Right.
But yeah, no, it'd be fun.
Yeah.
I like international baseball, so
Right.
obviously we got to go to Dubai and watch some baseball. I played baseball in Europe a little bit, so yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. 100%. Mike's in the house. Crosscheck is here. We've got a lot of draft comments already.
Yeah, I know they're hot for the draft, just like I was walking in here. Like, let's talk.
So Quick Draw came in because the Browns, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you looked at it, drafted a Michigan player with their 5th overall pick. It is what it is. He's a Brown now. That's all that matters. Quick Draw. That's all that matters. Mike was upset with the trade. I love that trade. I like Travis Hunter. I wasn't completely sold on him overall. Obviously, he's an elite player, but who knows how he's going to translate to the NFL. The fact that I feel like we kind of robbed the Jaguars and traded back from 2nd to 5th, got a first, so I'll have 2 first-round picks next year. So I feel like the obvious answer is we just need to tank for Arch, and then 2027 will be our year. But no, I don't know. I liked the trade, to be honest with you.
I sure hope Arch doesn't ruin his career by becoming a Brown.
No, he'll be the savior.
Following the footsteps of all of the great Browns quarterbacks of history.
He'll be the savior.
Man, that might be the end.
I'm already saving up to buy an Arch jersey. I'll tell you that much.
That's tough.
We'll see.
I mean, I feel like I'm just like sitting out as a Vikings fan.
Yeah, I didn't even see the Vikings just got some defensive dude or something.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, just sit out for a few years. Yeah, who needs first round draft picks?
The Packers finally drafted a wide receiver.
Well,
Finally.
you know, the most important draft pick of the night was the one that didn't happen.
Yeah. Well, Jake wants us to talk about the Vikings. Jake, we can talk about the Twins if you want. I got to watch. I went to a game on Thursday and watched them beat the White Sox. It was riveting.
Yeah, they beat the White Sox. They're gonna be a playoff contender.
The first 5 innings of that game were probably some of the worst baseball I've ever watched. I would have rather gone to a Saints game a little bit earlier.
For
that
sure,
day.
I would rather watch the Saints right now than the Twins.
It was not good.
Yeah. So, over under on when Shedeur Sanders actually gets drafted.
And so the Browns have, and I don't mean to keep talking about it, but they do have 2 of the first 4. They have 2 out of the first 4 picks in the second round. So we'll see. Yeah, Quick Draw wants him to take Will Johnson. I'm worried about his knee, to be honest with you, and that's why he dropped. He was supposed to be one of the best quarterbacks in the draft, but had a knee injury against Texas last year. I think it was Texas that made him drop. So we'll see if he ends up going. I kind of wanted the Browns to take Genty with that 5th pick, but they ended up strengthening their D-line, which is fine. I think it's a good pick, and we needed a little bit of help there anyways. But now we can come back with, like, Quinshot Judkins or one of those Ohio State running backs, Trevion Henderson available still. So who knows? But that's the question on if they... there's the Browns, the Raiders have, I think, like the 5th pick in the second round. The Saints still need a quarterback, and they're talking about the Rams potentially drafting a quarterback as well. And you've got Miller on the board, you got Shedeur on the board, you got a few other dudes on the board. I don't know. I kind of want the Browns to take Jalen Milroe instead of Shedeur. That's a personal thing.
I mean, Shedeur put up some big stats at Colorado. There's no questioning that. I mean, he racked up yards, racked up touchdowns.
He did enough to get his jersey retired.
I mean,
he might be a Hall of Famer.
I mean, we talked about this a little bit. It's like, it feels like this guy spent more time working on his brand than his game.
Yeah.
And definitely more time working on his brand than his character. Like,
I don't know. I don't know if I'm sold on the whole character argument with Shador.
So all the interviews that I've seen of, unnamed
scouts and GMs and execs and stuff.
Unnamed execs and people who interviewed Sanders were like, done.
In terms of just a flashiness and wanting to be the center of attention type of thing, probably.
Yeah, just, bringing the whole entitled book to the table.
Right.
Like, what are you going to do for me kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I struggle with that kind of a personality.
Do you think Dion hurt that by saying, like, oh, there's certain teams that Shador won't go to?
Yeah, I mean, parents are the most guilty parties when it comes to the entitlement of the younger generation, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think most of a kid's entitlement comes from how their parents talk to them and talk about them and raise them.
Yeah.
It's like we all want the best for our kids.
Right.
But like you should be raising your kids to be good people. That's just not Dion. What can I say?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sold on I don't think he's a bad person necessarily. Like, I don't think he's going to be like an issue that way. It's just like, I think it's probably just like the flashiness and the center of attention type of thing, which is different.
Yeah, well, it hasn't translated to the NFL well yet.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. There's been plenty of dudes that have had the character issue, like
Mansell. He was amazing.
He was going through other things.
Sure.
Yeah. He was going through other things. I don't know. You got to think Shador gets drafted pretty quickly here in the second round.
Yeah, I would say so.
I would think. Yeah, but we're gonna have two, I guess not new teams to chase with quarterbacks. You've got the Titans with Cam Ward, and now the Giants will be an interesting chase in 2026 products with Jackson Dart, which I like Dart too. I don't know, people are kind of calling him like Daniel Jones 2.0, which might be a decent. That might be a little aggressive, but
I mean that's big shoes to fill.
Those are big shoes to fill.
Yeah. No, I mean it's definitely a different kind of rookie class.
Yeah.
Than the last rookie class. I think we'll see some excitement for some of the players.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be really interesting to see how the hobby evolves and transforms. Because it's historically been like a QB only kind of hobby.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We haven't had a wide receiver or a running back come into the NFL and transform the game, significantly in the last 5 years.
No, yeah, for sure you have.
Justin Jefferson as a wide receiver,
Yeah, I mean, I bet you could look back at every one of the last 5 years of draft picks, and there's been a wide receiver that has sold great from a hobby perspective. Like starting with 2020 with Justin Jefferson and some of those guys. 2021 had Jamar.
I don't think they've sold that great though. I don't feel like they've maintained.
For sure,
right?
Yeah, they have.
I don't know.
Those guys have specifically 100%.
Not anywhere near where.
Yeah, not like high QB.
Sure,
level.
like selling is one thing, but elite sales is a different conversation, right? And elite sales has been reserved for QBs.
What do you classify as an elite sale then? I guess
a wide receiver selling for a third of a quarterback is not the same level.
Yeah, but that's just a positional. I think. I think when you look at positional sales ranked amongst players, like these guys, the Jamars and the
But what I'm saying is does that change? Like, is there a player that comes along? I mean, can a running back, a Barry Sanders kind of running back, or an Emmitt Smith kind of running back come along that changes the narrative on that type of thing?
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We haven't seen a Chris Carter or a Jerry Rice or an Emmitt Smith or a Barry Sanders. It's all been QBs.
Yeah.
And the truth is, we haven't seen a mega QB come out that's been able to show, super longevity.
Longevity is the difference.
Right? Having flash in the pan years and things like that. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
we know some of these guys can be good,
Yeah.
and they're talented. Justin Herbert is talented quarterback,
Mhm.
but like I'm still waiting to see somebody. I'm still waiting to see somebody come out like a Mahomes, right? You know,
Yeah.
it happens. It does happen. We
Right.
know that. We know it happens. It happens every 10 years.
Yeah, I think the one interesting thing looking at this draft class is you can look at each of the last, if we just look back 5 years, every single year, one of these dudes, quarterback wise, has played great and received a majority of the hobby love. From last year with Jaden Daniels coming out and lighting it up. The year before that, 23.
C.J. Stroud.
With Stroud. The year before that, 22 with Purdy, coming out of nowhere, absolutely. In 2021, a lot of those guys have fizzled out, but Trevor Lawrence then, and 2020 with Burrow and Herbert and Hurts and these guys, it'd be interesting in this, the 23 draft class was one with Stroud, and 22 even with Purdy. We were kind of looking at those quarterback classes saying, oh man, is this going to be a weak year for the hobby? And even last year I had some questions on if Jaden Daniels could go into the Commanders and do what he did. No one was expecting that.
No one was expecting that. I think they were expecting it more out of some other players.
Correct, yeah.
Right. But in almost all of those scenarios, it's been one guy who emerges as a front runner,
Yep.
but hasn't carried it into the following years.
Yeah, there's always a little bit of a sophomore slump.
Right? So from a hobby perspective, you see this big spike as people have this huge anticipation. We haven't seen anybody outlive their spike or play beyond their spike.
Yeah.
Of their rookie hype.
Yeah,
and that's tough from a hobby perspective, right? Because we're all opening product, buying breaks, chasing these rookies, and we haven't seen a whole lot of them popping after the rookie hype.
Yeah. Yeah, you could argue that Jalen Hurts did. But his sales are his hobby love is still definitely a little bit controlled, I would say.
Yeah.
Even after winning the Super Bowl, his stuff definitely spiked higher than I would think some of his rookie stuff. But we're also looking at a market change too of these 2020 guys coming out right in the hype of COVID. I would bet that Jalen Hurts' stuff was selling way better than even it did after he won the Super Bowl.
And their stuff could only go down from COVID.
Yeah, because that's an outlier.
That was an anomaly.
Yeah.
So there's only one direction to go down for all cards coming out of COVID.
Yeah.
We had a customer in the store that we had done some business with, some consignment for, and he was visiting yesterday, and I was talking to him a little bit about it. We sold a couple of epic cards for him.
Yeah, some epic old basketball stuff.
We sold a 03-04 Dwayne Wade 1-of-1 exquisite rookie auto.
That's pretty crazy.
For him during COVID for a massive amount. We sold Essential Credentials Blue LeBron, for a massive amount.
Some wild stuff.
He had some insane cards, but one of the cards that he kept was a PSA 9 LeBron Topps Chrome X-Fractor.
Oh, he held on to it?
He kept it.
Yep.
At the time, they were $90,000.
Yeah.
In the peak of COVID. He told me he sold it last week.
Oh, really?
He sold it last week after having it. He was concerned about selling everything because he was selling all these cards for massive amounts.
Yeah.
But it's hard to sell everything because you don't know if something might still go up later, right?
Right.
So he could have sold it for 90, and he sold it last week for 16.
Yuck.
It's wow.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is a card of an impossible rookie card of one of the greatest to ever play.
The greatest, yeah.
One of the greatest to ever play. So,
yeah, it's wild.
It's easy to fall into that trap of everything's always going to go up, but COVID kind of threw that one for a loop.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Is there any sport that has higher second year? I don't think there's any sport specifically that has higher second year prices than first year prices outside of individual players. As a sport,
I mean, it's not to the letter that way, but I think that baseball has a little bit more potential for guys to develop and be impactful
true.
Later.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Like football, they're coming right out of college. They're coming out and these guys are coming out hyped and peak. Basketball's the same. They're coming straight in from college. We see a lot more with baseball players where all of a sudden they're having a big season and you didn't really see it coming. Right?
Yeah, it's true.
It's not these hype guys just carrying the hype all throughout. I'm trying to think of, a player who would fall into that category recently.
My first thought was Gunner, but he lit it up his rookie season. Like all of the 2023 stuff was, but yeah, overall as a class, because then you had Corbin Carroll slumping, so that kind of like offset it.
I mean, obviously the sophomore slump is a thing.
Right.
Like it wouldn't have a name if it wasn't a thing. Corbin Carroll's a perfect example of a guy who just struggled last year in his sophomore year and now is coming out of the gates super, super hot.
Yeah.
Right? In this season. Champagne Swirls comment there is a huge one. Aaron Judge is actually a perfect example.
Yeah,
because this is somebody who was not a chase at all.
Was Schwarber a bigger chase that year, or was he the year before?
No, but Bellinger.
Yeah,
Bellinger was.
That's what it was.
A bigger chase than Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
And Aaron Judge was in the minors. Nobody collected. I remember giving Aaron Judge cards away for free as a prospect. I remember like 2012 or 2013 inception, like giving away Aaron Judge autos because here he's this big giant dude, but he just strikes out, right? So some of these guys take time to develop.
Yeah.
So
it's also interesting when you look at it from a product perspective. Like even if the bulk of the single sales of a rookie class go down through the next year, if there's one or two guys that can carry that hype, you add that in with the scarcity of product as it. We got the
phone messages going off.
the spam message. But you add that combined with the scarcity of that rookie year's product, seeing those box prices go up, even though as a whole the price singles aren't selling.
Boxes have already dried up.
Correct.
By the time these guys, hit hard, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, we see that with I think we see that the most with football, I would say, where prior years stuff, because of one specific quarterback or a couple specific rookies, and the scarcity of those boxes drives those box prices up.
Sure. But production is a totally different game today than it was 4 years ago also, right? So it'd be interesting to see how good of a job Fanatics does with making the right amount of product for a market.
Right.
So there's not a whole bunch of it in the market for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the ideal scenario is they make enough product so that it all gets opened.
Right.
Right? And at least the lion's share of it.
Yeah.
Right? If they start making more product than there's demand for, then, even though we're not anywhere near junk era production levels, I mean, we're still a tiny percentage of junk era production levels.
Yep.
It's all relative to demand. And if you end up with unopened product in large quantities, it's hard for the value of that stuff to go up.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So, when dealers across America are sitting on a ton of something. And we haven't seen that happen yet.
No.
I mean, we haven't seen that happen at all. The truth is,
actually.
The truth is even Series 1, which is the Series 1 baseball, which is the most produced product of the year every year by a long ways, is almost impossible to get right now.
Right.
Like
it is basically impossible.
It's like it's not out there.
Yep.
So, arguably Fanatics is behind the curve on production relative to demand.
Right.
But they also have other things that are constraining how much product they can make. the amount of autos that they can procure.
Yep.
They know that you can't just add 50 players to a checklist. They tried that a couple of years ago.
Yep.
Right? And they decimated some products in the last couple of years by just adding the next 50 bottom rookies to Topps Chrome.
Yep.
Like, or even Bowman Chrome. Like, we've actually seen them rein in the Bowman prospect autograph checklist.
Yeah, I forget what year it was with Bowman that they had just a mountain of dudes. It's like you couldn't hit any of the big guys nearly as well, and that product struggled because of it.
Right. So they're kind of limited by how many players can you put in a product before it's totally diluted.
Right.
And how many autographs you can get out of these athletes.
And they're doing a little bit more stuff we've seen recently with like adding parallels, and that helps keep checklist size down and more controlled, but they are able to get a little bit more autographs, which helps a little bit with the production overall. But
they still have to have these guys sign the cards, right? And they're not going to be able to have these guys go from signing 5,000 cards to 20,000 cards.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just not going to happen,
right?
Right? So that's a limiting factor of how much product they're going to be able to produce.
Yeah.
Even if the market demand says, give us twice as much Series 1. They just can't do it.
Right. Yep.
So.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, Kroshik asked about how 2020 hockey box prices are doing these days with Kirill. I mean, not even a fraction of where they were at the peak.
Right.
At the height. Not even close, actually. Because, I mean, you think of, it wasn't the Kirill hype in 2020. It was the Alexi Lafreniere hype in 2020 that drove those by. And that was in the middle of COVID. That was one of the first years coming out of a great rookie class in 2019-20 with Jack Hughes and Cale Makar and these guys. But, like, Laffy was supposed to be the next coming.
We had guys in the store that wanted to chase Kirill complaining about how expensive boxes were because of Laffy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so, Kirill ended up being the chase out of that class. But
yeah, but coming out of COVID, all that stuff has come down significantly.
Right. Yeah. And we've seen that. I mean, it's really, really hard to sustain a product.
Yep.
If there's availability. That's one thing. There's availability of hockey.
Right.
You can get the product.
Yeah. If
you can get the product, it's hard to sit on sealed product. And sitting on sealed product is a huge element of this hobby.
Correct.
Right? It's not just dealers that sit on sealed product. Mm-hmm. Collectors sit on sealed product.
Yep.
So, we see that a ton in Pokemon, right?
Yep.
The threat with Pokemon is that they can reprint it.
Correct.
At least we know that these guys aren't going to reprint Upper Deck Hockey or reprint Topps Baseball.
Yep.
But if there's a lot of it out there, then it's hard for those boxes to go up in value.
Right.
So, and you have to have a rookie that really comes in and transforms the game.
Yeah.
We thought Bedard was going to be that kind of a guy, and he hasn't yet.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the 23, 24 stuff has compressed a little bit or decompressed a little bit in terms of pricing.
Right.
And we've still got some big releases. It's not to say that he's not selling great, but after I don't want to say mediocre rookie season, because he actually had a good season and was producing a bit, but on the worst team in the league.
He's a bad team.
Yeah.
It's a bad team.
So, that kind of hurt his hype of, it's the instant gratification thing of, okay, this dude's coming in, he's got all this hype, he needs to score 60 goals and have 40 points, have a 100-point season and that's super, super tough, especially with how young these guys are coming in. Like with hockey specifically, like we've got Macklin, Celebrini, and Bedard, and these guys that are like 18, 19 years old when they're coming into the league.
Right.
Like, and they're playing against the big boys, and it's a different league than where they were.
It's a different game.
100%.
Different game. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean, that also, it is also interesting with the amount of young guys that are coming in, how that will change the future markets, and I guess just tracking their stuff year over year. Because the reality is Bedard could come in a year older and a year better and go crazy next year. Same thing with guys like Macklin Celebrini, who's young and had a great season this year. Like, it'll be interesting to watch the longevity of these, this new wave of players.
Yeah, I mean, Switchwolf brings up Anthony Edwards, right? Like he was people were hunting him.
Yep.
You know, in 2020, 2021
Definitely
products.
wasn't the main chase.
But he was not the main chase.
Not even close. His stuff was half as much as LaMelo's was.
Right.
Legitimately, I remember. I looked back a little bit ago to look at some old Pick Your Team pricing, and the Timberwolves were half the Hornets.
Yeah, but even with how much his stuff spiked last year, especially going into the playoffs, his stuff was at a epic peak.
It's tough to look back at anything in that 2020 to 2021 range, specifically of COVID, and compare it to now because it all came down.
Well, and they made an epic amount of product.
Yeah.
Panini's production
which started in 2019-20.
Panini's production volumes have come down massively.
Correct.
They were running the presses in COVID. And so even though Edwards' stuff really spiked and has become a really great chase from that class, those boxes are still obtainable.
Yeah.
Like they're still out there. There's plenty of 2020, 2021 product that you can get up. One of our hottest sellers in the store right now is Prism Retail. You buy a Prism Retail box for $169.
Yeah, which is wild.
Like that's bonkers. I mean, in 1920,
this is crazy.
1920 Prism Retail with Zion and Ja in the peak of COVID, we were selling for north of $1,500 for Prism Retail.
Yep.
Prism Retail, $1,500. But I can go chase Ant for $169 in a Prism Retail now.
Yep.
And this is only 2 years later than 1920. Or no, it's the
year.
next year.
It's the next year.
Yep. So, I mean, it's wild. Like
it's a true story.
If you were not collecting in the COVID time, like it's hard to even imagine and fathom like what this hobby went through.
Yeah, especially like and a lot of that was driven by singles prices as well. Like I remember, and this is an 18-19 rookie, but I was selling Trae Young base Prism PSA 10s for $600, $700, $800.
Right.
Zion base PSA 10s base Prism $1,000 easy.
Well, the reason 1920 Prism Retail was selling for $1,500.
You could pull a couple base and hopefully get a silver.
Yeah, you pull a couple of base. I mean, you were grading like
everything.
10 rookies deep.
More than that, probably.
And you think about the number of rookies that you could grade.
Yep.
You send it in, pay the $16 or $18 or whatever it was at the time. I think it might have been even a little bit lower than
something like that.
And you're sending those cards in, 10, 20 rookies because that, a Tyler Harrow was...
Yeah, that was probably a $200 base PSA 10 at that time.
Was nuts. Like, you're turning all these cards into $100, $200 PSA 10s that are now $5 cards.
Correct. Yeah, some of them less. A lot of these rookies that were selling for, like, Sekou Doumbouya from the Pistons, in that his stuff was he was a $50 base. Bol stuff sold great. Like he took a little bit longer. He was a little bit outside of that, but yeah, like all these dudes, you go as deep as you wanted because everything was just so hot.
Right.
Like no one could get enough, and you could sell it instantly.
But if you pulled a Zion silver
out
of a retail box for $1,500, you made money.
Correct. Pretty much instantly.
Bonkers.
Yeah, and that also stopped when PSA was so backed up because everyone was sending every single card. Like now you have to be way more selective. A lot of these, base Prism rookies in both football, basketball, whatever, are not worth grading because they're $5 raw, $10 raw, whatever.
You can't put $26 into a card.
Correct.
And into every card anymore.
But people were sending every single base card from every single rookie, from every single product to PSA. They got so loaded. And so people were sending stuff in where, they rip a $1,500 Prism retail box, send in 10 rookies. You got them back a year later, and in the midst of that year is when everything started coming back down to life, and people got burned bad.
We saw some really, really big, hefty grading bills.
Bad.
For that, where the grading bill was significantly orders of magnitude larger than what the cards were.
I know some people some dealers gotten burned from that, where they PSA charges the dealer when the cards come back, and if that customer doesn't come pick up their cards and just leaves them, like I know there are a couple stories of some guys.
Thank God we don't have to deal with that in the current market.
It's bad.
Yeah, that's painful.
Yeah.
So, but now you can go rip Prism Retail 2021 and $169 box, and an Ant PSA 10's silver is like $700-800 card.
Yeah.
Sweet. I mean, you can actually have a really nice win on a cheap box.
Correct.
So
and I mean, that box is not all box. You can chase an Ant auto.
it's got autos in it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's wild. For those of you guys that weren't around in the COVID times, it was like, it's tough. It is, like you mentioned, it's tough to really fully grasp the magnitude of how different it was than it is today.
Right.
And what this stuff was doing. And it's a good thing that things are back to real life now, because from a collector perspective, even from a dealer perspective, like it's so much better to navigate, and there is a lot of not necessarily more upside per se, but just more collectability, and I think, and more like it's just better right now for so many different reasons.
Yeah. So Crosscheck and Zachary mentioned Optic. So Optic football this week has been really popular.
Mm-hmm.
Collectors, I mean, social media is really lit up with Optic football.
Yep.
Collectors are really enjoying it.
It's always one of the best of the year.
It's always a good chase, but the downtown hype is real. The uptown hype, we still don't know how many of these things they made.
They made a ton.
It feels like these uptowns are hitting more frequently. People are probably still treating them like they're rarer than they actually are.
They've dropped really heavy over the last, like, some of the Optic retail stuff started popping, I want to say 2 weeks ago or so now, and people were saying like, oh my goodness, these uptowns are everywhere, and they're selling like crazy. And then people kept realizing like, oh my goodness, they're everywhere.
There's
oh my goodness, they're everywhere. Oh my goodness,
there's more of them. Yeah.
So they've come down to life. Like we've had a couple people call us asking like, hey, I've got a Jaden Daniels uptown, I've got a Drake May uptown. Like, are you interested in buying? Like, we personally are not buying any of those right now, which we don't normally buy heavy new release stuff, and that's why we talk to you guys and say like the best time to sell on a new release is right away, especially on something like that where you have no idea how many of them they produced and where that market is going to settle.
We know, I mean, one of the reasons why we do a 24-hour breaks to eBay consignment service is because the peak selling price of a card is immediately on release.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, we have people in the store trying to sell us cards that they pull all the time from new releases, not just downtowns from Optic, but all the time, whatever the latest product is, they're hitting their cards and then bringing them in to sell them to us. We just can't buy that stuff. It is not a good long-term strategy for all of these. Everybody wants to tell people how to collect. Like, oh, you should only buy singles, or you should only do this, or you should only do that. Like, and then I see these guys who are like, oh, you should only buy singles out there in the market buying singles on release week.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a tried.
What are we even doing here?
It's a tried and true method of not doing well.
Yeah. I always tell people, if you are getting cards that are not keepers, sell them release week.
Yep.
Sell them release week.
Yeah. And it's not, like, people always say, like, you see on some products where it's, oh my goodness, singles are coming down, like, the product's crashing, this and that, and then it's the sky is falling type of thing, but it's not a bad thing. Like, that is just a natural hobby, usage or whatever. Like, that's how things happen.
Right.
Like, these uptowns, when more come out, it's not because Optic's bad, it's not because the card isn't desirable, it's just a production thing. And the more are out there, the less they're going to sell for. And they'll settle eventually.
We are a week and a half away from one of the biggest examples of that happening each year, which is Bowman.
Yep.
Bowman's going to come out here at the beginning of May. And all of these prospects are going to be selling for $100 base auto, $30 base auto, $400 base auto.
Yep.
You know, gold's selling for $5,000, and almost 100% of those players will be selling for a little bit less in week 2 than in week 1.
Correct.
It's almost biblical.
Yeah.
So, like, I have a blast. Bowman's one of my favorite ones to chase.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely sell on hype. If there's not a player that I feel like I want to stash, I sell on hype 100% of the time.
Yep. Yeah, because the reality is there's usually only a few guys in each product that are going to outsell their initial, release pricing.
Right.
And we saw that a little bit with draft, and it's due to performance. And luckily, draft and Bowman specifically have enough prospects that are playing full season minor league baseball right now that Bowman's a little bit different because you get a look at what they've done already the first couple months of the year.
Right.
And that also affects their prices coming out of the gate. But with draft, it's in the off season, so you got a guy like Nick Kurtz who sold very well to start, but then goes nuclear, gets called up, like is hitting all the bombs in the world, and his stuff has significantly shot. We saw that with Christian Moore with a great spring training. We saw that with Cam Smith getting called up.
Yep.
Stuff like that. We saw that with Paul Skeens last year specifically.
Right.
But we've also seen stuff like Jackson Holliday in 22 where he had all the hype in the world. And there's a million examples of guys like that where they have all the hype in the world, don't perform like that right away. And
which he still could.
Well, and he did in the minors, but then he got called up, and then you have the whole, do you sell right on call-up discussion, or do you, that's a whole different, side of it, because these guys could have hype through the minors, and stuff could blow up and go up from the initial release week hype, but then he gets called up, doesn't perform as well.
I'm still sitting on a massive card that I'm waiting on because I didn't sell on hype.
I mean,
so now, I don't feel bad about it.
Right.
I have a Superfractor rookie auto Julio Rodriguez.
Right.
Topps Chrome.
Yeah.
And, on hype, out of the gates, this is a $50,000 card plus.
Yep.
Hasn't lived up to the hype.
Yeah.
He's had flashes of it. Like, he's had a month of MVP caliber baseball.
Or the second half of the year of...
Right. So far he digs himself into a deep enough hole at the beginning of the year that even with a Hall of Fame type performance in the second half, he can't put up good season numbers. But I'm still optimistic about that one. Like, I still think he's a great talent. So that card's a hold for me.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So...
there's no reason to, if you really, really love a prospect or, love a rookie, there's no reason that you shouldn't go out and buy some stuff on release week, or the week after. I mean, usually the week after or 2 weeks after is normally the best time after it settles a little bit.
But, I'm sitting on Jackson Holliday right now.
100%.
I've got Jackson Holliday, and I'm not going to sell him at current comps.
Yeah.
Because I believe he's more talented and more capable than what his cards are selling for today.
Yep.
So he's a hold for me.
Yep.
So, yeah, it
is part of it's the fun part of the hobby too. Like the guessing game of prospecting in all sports and in holding and waiting to sell at the right time. I think that's one of the things that's really fun for me.
I actually like how the dynamic is a little bit different for each of the 3 major Bowman releases.
Yeah.
So you touched on, draft, where these guys haven't played minor league baseball when draft comes out. So, but Major League Baseball puts them in order for you.
Yeah.
So
some of them play a couple weeks at the end of the year.
Collectors are a little bit more knowledgeable about the draft guys because it's like we know who got picked 1 and got picked 5 and got picked 10.
And who signed for overslot and who signed for underslot.
Right. So we've got some information, even though they haven't played.
Yep.
The Bowman guys, when they get their first Bowman in Bowman baseball
in the spring.
Spring, they usually have some time under their belt.
Yep.
But then Bowman Chrome.
Well, Bowman's also a mix of some draft guys with some time under the belt and some international guys that may have played a full season.
But Bowman Chrome is usually the heavy international one.
Correct. Yeah.
And so Bowman Chrome is the 16, 17-year-old, 18-year-old international guys who haven't played at all in the minors.
Yeah.
And you're just basing everything based off of how well did they mash as a 16-year-old in the Dominican.
DSL, yeah.
Right? You know?
Yeah.
So that one's like even more wild card to
Correct.
me. Like Bowman Chrome is the wild card.
Yeah,
one.
as always.
And it's been tough. Like Bowman Chrome's been tough for a few years because we haven't had one of those big young international guys pop. But they also take time because they're 16 and 17 and 18 years old. You know, I mean, the last time we had a teenager really pop was Soto.
Yeah, and that was back in 2016.
So it has been a really long time since we had somebody really pop as a teenager.
Yeah.
So
you're seeing that a little. Leo DeVries is playing great right now. So you're seeing that a little bit with 24 Bowman Chrome. But still early, obviously, as these guys move up. Like, we see these younger kids tend to struggle a little bit as they get these aggressive assignments into minor leagues. Like 23, you have Ethan Salas, who was supposed to fly up and be in the big leagues by now, but, you know.
Well, then that was the difference with Soto.
Yeah.
Soto was mashing, and he couldn't drink champagne in the clubhouse.
Exactly, yeah, and wins a World Series and is still underage.
Right. I mean, that's next level beast.
Correct.
Right there.
Yeah.
So we haven't seen that. I think people thought that Dominguez was going to be that kind of a player, and he's shown flashes of that.
Yep.
But no one's quite put that together like Soto did for a season.
Yeah.
You know, with 40 home runs.
Yep. I mean, you could say that it's a little bit of a tempered level compared to Soto, but like a Jackson Chourio, you know, he's kind of one of the last, like, fast rising international guys that was in 22 Bowman Chrome and blew through the majors.
The tough part was that the 2016 class and 2017 international class with you had Soto, Tatis, Vlad, and then Acuna.
Yeah.
Like, they set this, like,
unmeetable
expectation.
Correct.
For how these Latin American ball players are going to come in as 19, 20-year-olds into Major League Baseball. Like, we had these four guys all do it at the same time in 2019, right? Like, and since 2019, it's just been like letdown after letdown after letdown after letdown, you know.
Yeah, I mean, for every one of those guys, there's how many thousands of other signees that can't crack the Dominican Summer League because they just can't develop to the better pitching and can't adjust, and you know, it's tough. It's tough.
Yep.
So sell Bowman Chrome on hype is what you're saying.
Needless to say, I'm ready for Bowman. I'm excited about Bowman.
It's
this is one that I dig in and rip. I get up to my elbows in packs and rip this one for myself.
Yep.
So I'll be a couple of cases deep on release day.
We just finished up all of our full write-up on some of the top guys, on a handful of the top guys. Actually, we did a bunch. I've been dropping them into, if you guys have not seen them or not seen the community pages yet, we launched that last week. So all you got to do, it's on your app. If you're at the home screen, you hit the very bottom button, the middle button on the bottom bar. There's the community pages there. In the Hobby Talk room, I'm dropping a write-up every single week. We'll have the full write-up up shortly, and then make sure you follow us on Instagram and TikTok as well to see the videos we post on these guys. It's a good class.
Yeah, and I want to hear you guys sound off in the community section. So let's hear your feedback on some of these prospects. Well, I want to see how studious some of you are with your Bowman prospect knowledge. So especially cross-check. I want to hear what you think about some of these Bowman guys.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's going to be good. Bowman's one of my favorites because of the mix of the draft holdouts and the international guys. And there's a really good mix of stud draftees and legit international guys that are young and make some noise.
Yep. So Chris Roberts saying, buy pitchers. Pitchers is where it's at. I mean, clearly Paul Skeens has shown us all that pitchers is the best investment in baseball.
He's not doing that bad, is he?
I mean, he's not bad.
Oh, well, you weren't saying that. Were you saying that sarcastically?
Yeah, of course I was saying it sarcastically.
Well, no, I get that, yeah.
No, always sell pitchers. Always.
Pitchers have been selling great lately. there's a lot of dudes that, in Bowman specifically, have carried more hype than I think ever before. Like even in the last draft with guys like Hagen Smith and Cam Caminiti and some of these guys.
And you should absolutely sell on that hype. It is true. We've seen pitchers selling for better. So Bowman for the longest time was like this small group of purist kind of collectors.
Yeah.
Right? You know, these guys put themselves into the category of true collectors.
Correct.
Right? Which I hate that term.
I only collect True Blues.
I only like True Colors and
Shimmers. Gross.
Ick, green, right? Like green used to be retail 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Ew, gross, right? So, but Bowman lived in this little like niche collector community for a really long time, and it's for sure broken out to the wider collector audience, which includes a lot of people who just started collecting in the last couple or few years. I feel like there's a learning curve that has to happen with some of the newer collectors, because it really feels like they are paying to learn some of the lessons that a lot of longer term collectors learned a long time ago. Right? Like pitching and pitchers, investing in pitchers is one of those. Like the last real pitcher that we all invested into was Strasburg. We've talked about that before. You know, Casey Mize tried. He was the first one that was like, ooh, maybe I should forget my Strasburg experience and put some money into Casey Mize because he's a sure thing. Right? And it's like,
he was supposed to be.
So now you got all these guys pouring it into Skeens and some of these other pitchers. But it sure isn't the guys who have been collecting for more than 5 years that are the ones paying those prices. There's no chance that is who is paying those prices. So, but there is a lot of new blood in this industry. To Fanatics' credit, they came in really cocky when they bought Topps, saying we're going to 10x the hobby, and I think they really found out quickly that you can't 10x the hobby if you can't 10x the product, and you can't 10x the product without destroying the hobby. But to their credit, they have really done a good job of making the hobby more relevant to more people. And they have brought a lot of new blood and a lot of new hype and excitement around collecting into the hobby. So, we are, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But some of these collectors are going to learn some tough lessons.
I think in the grand scheme of things, like looking at Bowman and looking at what pitcher sales have done, and how a lot of these guys are selling better. It is also a good thing if you're ripping, if you're, buying the breaks, not necessarily just for a specific pitcher, but the fact that these guys are selling for more. Like, it used to be 2020, you hit a pitcher. Like, I remember buying into, I think you ripped it, 2020 Bowman 5K's random player, right? And I got Tariq Skubal. I was like, this sucks. Like this is brutal.
$5 autos.
It was like they're not worth. None of these dudes were worth anything, and a lot of that was the Strasburg kind of fall off and people getting burned.
And now Tariq Skubal's better than Casey Mize.
Way better, yeah, obviously. But it's like I like how it does provide value because pitchers are so now you can hit a pitcher auto and it can actually be a chase and sell great in products. Like I'm glad that we're off of the.
So you're saying the veteran move is, feel free to go ahead and chase. Just make sure you sell the cards to the new people who don't know any better.
Yeah, probably.
That's horrible. That is not nice to the new people.
No, it's not. It's not targeting the new people. It's listing it on eBay and seeing what it sells for. So
it's like children. Sometimes you just have to let them learn their own tough lessons.
Hey, if they bid, it's not my problem. All right. Well,
what else do we have? We talked about Optic this week.
Yep.
We talked about Bowman, which is coming.
Yep.
Also this week, Heritage Baseball is back. It felt like we just had Heritage because we kind of did just have Heritage.
We did, yeah.
2024 Heritage High Number just came out like a month ago.
Yep.
And now our sorters are probably like, we just got done sorting Heritage.
My fingers are dry.
My fingers are bleeding. Now they're already sorting Heritage again.
Yep.
And
it feels good because now we're getting into a cadence after what felt like 2 months of like no baseball releases specifically. Like now we're gonna start getting into a cadence. We had Heritage this week and Topps Chrome Black next, or Tribute, the week before, and Heritage and Topps Chrome Black, and now we're gonna start seeing some more consistency within the.
That's the hope, right? The other possibility is that they cram in 4 products in 4 weeks, and then we don't have another baseball release for 4 weeks after that.
Yeah, we got Bowman after that, and who knows what else is coming after that. We'll see.
No, hopefully they do a little bit better job with managing the fluidity of the schedule so that we can keep some better pacing. I mean, that's been a challenge that they've had since the Fanatics acquired Topps is production scheduling.
Right.
I mean, they actually went out and bought some of the printers.
Yep.
So that they had more control over production scheduling.
Yep.
And man, they have a lot to figure out because pretty soon they're going to have 3 licenses. So it's not just going to be production scheduling for baseball.
Yeah.
We
they're already doing it with football and basketball.
We got to be on time with a full slate of baseball releases, basketball releases, football releases. Like the scaling that they have to be prepping for and going through right now is actually crazy. Like I would not want to be doing that.
Yeah.
At all. That would just be an awful experience to go through that. So hopefully they can keep up with it. We've seen those periods in the past where it's like, man, they haven't dropped a soccer release in 6 months,
and then we get them all within a month.
And then you get 4 soccer releases in a month, and we're like, what are we doing here?
Exactly.
Right? So, but we'll see. So we've got baseball stuff coming. They've been still teasing more football and basketball stuff.
We got Motif basketball today.
Motif basketball is today. That one actually looks really interesting. Like Topps 3 basketball was a little tough.
Yeah.
We got into that. We ripped it. We sold some boxes in the store. We did some breaks. It's a little tough. 3 cards is
just
tough.
A different type of product.
It's a different type of product.
Yeah.
Motifs are actually a little bit different.
Coming in a little bit cheaper.
It's a little bit cheaper than 3.
Yep.
But a lot more cards, a lot more autographs, spread the love a lot more, especially for breaks.
Yep, still has a higher end feel to it as well.
It does. Nice. It really kind of has like an immaculate type feel to it.
Yeah, it's the best kind of comparison.
And unlike Motif football, it's coming to market at a reasonable price.
Yeah, Motif football started off at like
$1,500. Motif football was $1,500.
Yep.
Now we're right around like $500.
On football?
On basketball.
Oh, yeah, something like that. Yeah, something like that.
So I think they came back to reality a little bit on pricing on Motif, which is good. So that'll make it a little bit more of a fun rip.
Yep.
So, but they just teased out another football product.
Yeah, like
we've got Resurgence football still coming.
Yep.
And then Signature football, Topps Signature football coming, which looks awesome.
That product looks really.
It looks really cool.
Yeah, I don't think I've been this excited for, and all the stuff they teased. Like I was excited for Inception and Finance looks sweet, and those products were obviously amazing. Signature football looks like I'm actually getting really excited for it.
It looks like it could be a really good product.
I need the Drake May 101 Superfractor Drizzy Drake auto. I need it so bad.
That goes into my nickname collection.
Seriously. But all sorts of cool, like the one they teased was it McNabb, Terrell Owens, Brian Westbrook, like triple auto. And they've done some triple, like this product's going to be cool.
Yeah. The other one they just teased recently was Royalty Tennis. So you guys got a glimpse of UFC Royalty.
Yep.
Royalty Tennis has been teased. It looks like it could be super, super awesome.
Yeah.
Graphite Tennis was one of my favorite products.
It's actually amazing.
It was so good. It was so fun. It was affordable. and it was just a great rip.
Yep.
I still have an Andre Agassi auto from Composite Tennis or Graphite from Graphite Tennis.
Yep.
I still have an Agassi auto.
Cool.
It's epic.
Okay.
But the way they teased royalty with like racket knob relics,
like the grip tape and even the actual
relics,
racket.
Like this is something we've never seen before for tennis.
Yeah.
Never seen anything like this for tennis. So I think that could be really, really cool.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. I like that they're doing some of these products with some of these additional sports. Like we saw Finest F1, and that product was amazing. Like who knows what else they're going to do with F1 and adding it into tennis and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of sweet stuff that they're doing.
Right. So, do we have anything else on the release calendar for that's impending here?
I've got to take a look at next week. I know Topps Chrome Black for sure next week, and they reformatted Black a little bit, so I think it's going to be.
They added cards. They added a pack to Topps Chrome Black, so that'll be a lot different of a product.
I think it'll be a little bit more break friendly too, to be honest, from a case perspective.
It was pretty skunky. Right?
Exactly.
So
yeah, we got Black coming out. Just had Optic. We did a little bit of Prism Deca, which wasn't an official release, but one of the Panini Online exclusive ones that was good.
Some of the Topps.com exclusive stuff has been popping, so we've been having fun with the 3-time MVP product.
Yep, the road opening day packs.
Road opening day stuff. Those have been really fun.
Yep.
It's always good. I mean, we always try to go out and get that stuff for you guys, just so we can have fun ripping those.
Yep.
So, because they're just not as available.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
we have to buy that stuff the same way you guys do on Topps.com. So we get, we're on there like trying
to beat the bots.
Trying to beat the bots. Yeah.
Yeah. Bundesliga Midnight is next week. So another product, we talk about them taking these brands and throwing them into, first debut years of certain, leagues and sports, and Bundesliga Midnight is going to be a cool one.
I like Midnight. Midnight looks really good. It looks different.
Yeah.
Than a lot of other things. It's really easy to look the same as other sets.
Yep.
Midnight looks different than anything else that's out there. So I like that set. I like that they're going to give that the treatment in a lot of different sports. I think Midnight Baseball will be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm fully expecting that they haven't told us, but I'm fully expecting that we see 2025 Midnight Baseball. Right?
Yep.
So
yeah, we might even see Motif Baseball or, some of these products that they started out. I mean, that's two of those products that they started off with in other sports that there's no reason that they can't throw those into baseball, which they're already doing. So,
right.
Yeah. Who knows?
So, yeah. I mean, that we are at time.
Yeah. Do we have any questions? Do we have time for a couple questions?
I think we've been picking off some questions along the way, but if you got any last minute questions, feel free to drop them on us.
Yeah, Dallas, we did rip F1 Finest this year. Yeah, so we had a few cases of that, ripped it, and it was pretty loaded.
Yep, that was a good product.
So
that was hard. We couldn't keep that in stock.
Yeah, we didn't have much of it. They obviously did not make much of that with how many we
super
saw multiple
coming
supers
out of these
every
cases. Yeah. When you see super fractors popping regularly, they didn't make much product.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Al, I'm off tomorrow. Luckily, I don't have the massive amount of weddings that I did last year. So no bachelor, maybe like one bachelor party and a couple weddings. So tomorrow is one of those weddings. So
tomorrow we have Grading 101 event at the shop.
Yep.
So if you are local and you want to come and learn a little bit more about the grading process, what the graders look for, have us review some cards for free. Come and hang out and visit us for the Grading 101 event.
And PSA is coming the week after.
PSA is coming to the shop the week after. So PSA will be here for a drop-off event the following week. Sunday, Emil and I are leaving for the Topps Conference. So he mentioned it at the top of the show this morning to make sure you don't miss next week's show, because we expect to have some juicy tidbits for you guys. Anything that we're learning from the Topps Conference and teasing of future releases and things like that. We're going to be sharing a lot of that information next Friday.
I'll have a notebook full of stuff written down from that weekend. So
yep. And again, guys, make sure you are checking in on the community section of the app. We've got a few different chat rooms going there, we are dependent on you guys to drive that community and keep some chatter going in there. Our regular collectors, the people that are our closest friends, are going to have to carry the load in the conversation in these rooms, so that new people as they come in are getting in there and being able to participate in that dialogue. And don't forget also, you can always direct message each other and get in contact with each other. Ditch Facebook Messenger and just start using Real Sports Cards chat. And always make sure that your sport questions are also going through that line also.
Yep.
Brand new way to reach out to us for any questions about breaks, tracking, shipping, all that kind of fun stuff.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Exactly.
Awesome.
Cool. I think that does it.
That brings us to time. Appreciate you guys as always. Thanks for hanging out for another All Cards Ship. Have a good Friday. Breaks are dropping. Have a good weekend. We'll see you in a break soon.
Thanks, guys.